All right, folks, let's talk about Litecoin today. We're in the middle of this bear market. Everybody's scared shitless. People don't know what coins they should be in, what coins are scams, what coins are going to basically pump the hardest. I've been in Litecoin on and off really since 2017. Litecoin was the first coin I ever bought. I bought it at all-time highs of about $250. And Litecoin eventually dropped all the way to $25 during COVID. So, needless to say, I bought at the top, but instead of selling, I basically kept buying. And I ended up doing okay with Litecoin in the end, but I could have done a lot better with other coins. Okay, so I admit that. I could have done a lot better holding some other coins. Litecoin was basically 30% of my portfolio. Um, and if I held some other coins, I would have done a lot better. But what do I like about Litecoin, especially in a bear market? So Litecoin previous bull market, which was just last year, had a high of about almost $400. So we'll call it $400. So that means at the bottom it went from about $25 all the way to $400. That's not bad. That's like a 20x, maybe more. For a stable coin that's been around since 2011, you know there's not going to be any rug pulls, you know it's not going to go anywhere, you know it's very secure. That's not a bad ROI. A lot of the problems with Litecoin and a lot of the reasons people don't like Litecoin, it was one of the biggest pumped coins of 2017. That's one of the reasons I got into it. All the big YouTubers who you're watching right now who are around in 2017 were pumping Litecoin. And what do they do when they're pumping Litecoin? They turn people off to the coin because so many people bought Litecoin at like $250. And we're talking about back here. So this is when I got in, almost $300. I think I paid like $250 on Coinbase. And after that, we just dump over the years. Keep in mind, 2017 going all the way 2019. If you bought at $250, you're still underwater. $40, $50, $60, and not until 2020. Going into 2021, did people really get a nice ROI on Litecoin? And this is your typical bear market. You go bull and then you go bear for 2 years. So basically, people don't understand that. So basically, we have another couple more years before probably Litecoin is going to, go back up to 4 or 5, maybe even $700. But a lot of people bought up here at almost $400 last year. So those people definitely bought at the top, and they should basically be cost averaging down. But the problem was back in 2017, all the big YouTubers were pumping it, got so many people wrecked. Then on top of that, Charlie Lee, who created Litecoin, as a joke, by the way, computer scientist from MIT, he decided to sell all of his Litecoin at the top, which basically really killed the sentiment in Litecoin. He said he did it basically to because he didn't want to, he wanted to kind of he wanted Litecoin to kind of be like Bitcoin, where there's like no founder and nobody holds all the coins. But everybody knows he did it basically because he wanted to cash out. He was smart. He called the top. He got out. Hasn't been too much going on with Litecoin since, between all the pumping in 2017 and Charlie Lee dumping. People have been turned off, but Litecoin is still around. There still is a developer. Charlie Lee still supports it. It's just not pumped like 2017. There has been the Mimble-Wimble talk about privacy, which they've been talking about for a couple years. Hasn't really happened, but I do think it will happen eventually. I think one reason it hasn't been implemented yet is they're kind of not sure how they want to do it, because a lot of exchanges may delist Litecoin if it becomes a privacy coin. So they're trying to figure out how to do it properly. My point is, Litecoin has survived. It survived every bear market in crypto. You can't deny that. And when it rebounds, it follows Bitcoin. It's proof of work, and it always does between like a 20 or 30x from its bottoms. So right now, we have Litecoin at about $55. I made a video the other day saying I'd probably buy 100 Litecoin if it goes under 50. I stand by that. Ideally, $45 is what I'm looking for. I don't think Litecoin's going to go back down to the low of $25 like it did in 2018, only because the high in 2017 was like 302, but the high in 2021 was almost 400. So I'm thinking the low for Litecoin is like $35. I can't see it going any lower, and I do think Litecoin will be between $500 and $700 in 2024 when we go into the next crypto bull market. So people are saying, okay, what's a safe coin to buy There's been so many scams. Terra Luna, all the YouTubers pumping all the scams. What do I buy? What's a good coin? I'd say Litecoin. You know, if Litecoin was $150, I would say no because there's not that much ROI left. Maybe you're going to 2 or 3x. But with Litecoin down to $50, if you can get Litecoin at $40, $35, you're going to 20x your money. You're going to 20x your money relatively safely. A coin that's been making people rich since 2011. It's been around since 2000. So 10 years, for 10 years, Litecoin's been making people rich. It has a track record. It's survived multiple bear markets. It's not scammy. YouTubers aren't shilling it anymore. So for me, I'm looking to buy 100 Litecoin if we go down to that $35 level. $45 level. And I think eventually coming into 2024, especially with this Mimble-Wimble, which they've been talking about, for a while, if we can get a Mimble-Wimble pump going into 2024 with a Bitcoin halvening. Also, there's a Litecoin halvening in 2023, which always pumps Litecoin. So there's a lot of good stuff happening for Litecoin that you just have to basically look a year ahead. I mean, I believe the last Litecoin halvening, it pretty much doubled Litecoin at least briefly. So you're pretty much guaranteed to probably have $100 to $150 Bitcoin, Litecoin at some point next year during the halvening. Now, Litecoin follows Bitcoin. It's not going to do anything crazy until Bitcoin goes into basically full-blown bullish mode, which will probably be during the Bitcoin halvening. But the Litecoin halvening will also pump Litecoin. So Litecoin's one of those coins. You can hold it. You can feel safe holding it. You're not worried about a Terra Luna collapse. You're not worried about some guy doing a rug pull. There's really nobody behind it. Now, Charlie Lee sold most of his coins. So that means there's no big whale like Charlie Lee who holds like 90% of the supply. I don't know what percent he held, but he held a lot. So you just don't have to worry about some scammer saying I'm going to basically sell all my coins and basically dropping the things to zero. It's not like a Hex situation, which I do think Hex is going to pump, but it's not like a Hex situation where Richard Hart owns 90% of the coins. He can dump it at any time. Also, you have to understand, if something happens to Richard Hart, Hex goes to zero. Charlie Lee of Litecoin has made it. So if something happens to Charlie Lee, God forbid, it won't really affect the Litecoin price. It's basically a decentralized protocol. There's nobody controlling it. You have a few developers, but you don't even need those developers. Litecoin will always exist. So this is what I'm doing. I'm looking for a $700 Litecoin, $500 to $700 Litecoin in 2024. Right now, Litecoin is hovering at, I believe it was like $50, so $56. We were at $63 a couple of days ago. Of course, we got that big dump. We got that big dump not too long ago. So yeah, for me, if you can get yourself some Litecoin for between $45 and $50, I think we're going to see, like I said, previous high of 413. We're definitely going to beat that the next bull market. I think you'd be looking at a $500 to $700 Litecoin. Safe coin, been around, legacy coin. It's on basically every single exchange. Yes, you'll probably get better ROI with some other projects, but for safety reasons, I would say have some Litecoin in your portfolio, and should be an easy 20x in 2 years, in my personal opinion.